I want to start by challenging something pretty fundamental: your basic sense of control over the devices you use every single day. Think about it. The last time you downloaded a new app, quickly tapped accept on some pop-up, or just kind of rushed through a checkout screen, you probably felt like you were the one steering the ship, right? Well, today we're looking at some seriously compelling research that suggests maybe you aren't. It's a simple question, but it really gets right to the heart of our daily digital lives. Are you actually in control of your phone? Or are the apps you use making choices for you? As we'll see, the tech industry hasn't just been sitting around. They've developed an entire playbook of psychological tricks literally designed to quietly hijack your decision-making process. And if you're wondering just how widespread this actually is, check out this staggering number. According to a massive study by researchers at the University of Zurich, a whopping 95% of the most popular free mobile apps contain manipulative interfaces. Yeah, 95%. So almost every single app you download is actively trying to trick you in some way. In fact, on average, these top apps contain over 7 different manipulative designs. 7 in just one app. So here's our roadmap for this explainer. We'll quickly cover 1. The illusion of choice, 2. Unmasking dark patterns, 3. The trap of user blindness, 4. Dark patterns in action, 5. The cost to our freedom, and lastly, 6. How to spot the trap. Let's get into it. Section 1. The illusion of choice, persuasion versus manipulation. To really understand how we got here, we have to look at the tech industry's underlying business model. We live in an attention economy now, and companies are aggressively competing to extract as much of your time and engagement as they possibly can. This comparison brilliantly illustrates the dividing line. On the left, you've got ethical, persuasive design. Think of a fitness app nudging you to go for a run, something that actually aligns with your personal goals. But on the right, we see what happens when that nudging crosses a line into manipulative design. This is toxic. It actively degrades your autonomy and limits your freedom, purely to boost the system's engagement metrics or pad their profit margins. At this point, the interface isn't a tool anymore, it's basically an adversary. Moving on to Section 2, unmasking dark patterns. What are they? Let's take a closer look at the actual mechanics these companies are using to manipulate us. The crucial takeaway is right here in this definition. Dark patterns are interfaces maliciously crafted to deceive users into performing actions they never meant to do. And how do they work? They literally weaponize our own cognitive biases against us. They exploit things like loss aversion, throwing up fake countdown timers so we panic and buy something immediately. Or the default effect, where they might pre-select a box for paid subscription, totally banking on the fact that we're too rushed to stop and uncheck it. Which brings us to Section 3, the trap of user blindness, why we don't see them. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, wait, if these apps average 7 tricks each, how come I haven't noticed them? That's the core mystery we need to unpack. Researchers actually have a name for this: dark pattern blindness, or DP blindness. Here's why it happens. When we're on our phones, we rely heavily on what psychologists call System 1 thinking. It's fast, it's intuitive, it's automatic. So inexperienced users, or honestly, even tech veterans who are just scrolling in a rush, perceive these interfaces as completely safe. Why? Because they trigger those automatic reflexes instead of conscious, rational evaluation. The app designers know exactly what they're doing. They're intentionally bypassing our critical thinking entirely. And the hard data backs this up. In a massive study of nearly 600 users interacting with apps that had known dark patterns, a full 55% didn't spot any manipulation at all. None. Another 20% were completely unsure. So only 25% successfully spotted the trap. Think about that. The vast majority of people are just flying completely blind. The reason for this blindness is perfectly captured by this quote from one of the study participants. They pointed out that these tricks are so common already that we just do not consider it anymore. And that really hits the nail on the head, right? We've essentially been conditioned to accept hostile, manipulative design as just a totally normal part of our digital experience. We just assume, hey, this is how apps work. All right, Section 4, dark patterns in action, concrete examples. To really cure this blindness, we need to look at exactly how different app categories are setting these traps. Here's a classic sneaky example from an e-commerce app called Romwe. Look really closely at that tiny toggle switch at the bottom. The app has quietly slipped a 99-cent shipping insurance charge straight into the user's basket by pre-selecting it.
This is known as the sneak into basket pattern. It relies totally on that pre-selection cognitive bias, basically assuming you're just going to hit checkout without reviewing every single line item.
Now, contrast that with the gaming category. This screenshot is from a game called Tag with Ryan. When you lose the level, bam, you're hit with this screen. This is a textbook forced action dark pattern. You either have to pony up some rare in-game currency, those little pizza slices you see, or you're coerced into watching an ad just to continue. It literally forces the user to hand over their attention to keep playing. Here we can compare two more incredibly common tactics that you've probably seen a million times, especially on social media apps. On the left, we have nagging from a face-reading app. It relentlessly interrupts the user, just begging for a 5-star rating. Then on the right, look closely at this one from the Talkatone app. This is what we call a false hierarchy. Notice how the Get My Location button is massive, bold, right in the center. Meanwhile, the Skip button is this tiny, underlined text hidden all the way at the bottom. It's deceptively designed to make you hand over your privacy data by making the safe option practically invisible. Let's shift gears to Section 5, the cost to our freedom, the ethical toll. It's so easy to look at those examples and just think, well, that's kind of annoying. But we need to talk about the actual ethical toll this takes. Researchers argue that this goes way beyond minor annoyances. This constant daily manipulation actively degrades our personal autonomy. It causes what experts call functional and existential distraction, meaning it's not just pulling us away from our immediate tasks, it's distracting us from our deeper life goals. It triggers intense emotional reactions, like serious annoyance and frustration. And over time, it severely reduces our overall trust in digital platforms. It creates this really hostile relationship between us and the technology we rely on every day. I absolutely love this powerful insight from technology ethicist James Williams. He says, the degree to which we are able and willing to struggle for ownership of our attention is the degree to which we are free. That is huge. Fighting against these dark patterns isn't just about saving a buck on shipping insurance. It is quite literally a fight for our freedom and our cognitive ownership. Which brings us to our final part, Section 6, how to spot the trap, empowering the user. So how do we actually fight back? Let's talk about the cure for DP blindness. The absolute most optimistic finding from the research is this: training changes everything. The study found that when users are simply primed, like when they're told what a dark pattern is and warned that an app might be using one, their awareness levels jump significantly. Once you know this hidden matrix of manipulative code exists, you start seeing it everywhere. To help you do exactly that, here's a rapid checklist you can use in your daily digital routine. Number 1, always assume a pre-selected box is not in your best interest. Just uncheck it. Number 2, recognize that most countdown timers on e-commerce sites are completely fake urgency. Ignore them. Number 3, when a screen pops up asking for your data, actively hunt for the tiny grayed out skip or no thanks option. And finally, number 4, just refuse to engage with forced social sharing to unlock app features. But look, ultimately, the burden shouldn't all be on us. UX designers desperately need to adopt core ethical principles. As design expert Kara puts it, ethical designs should be cumulatively more beneficial to life than they are harmful. It's pretty simple, right? Technology should respect human psychology, not exploit it for a quick click. Which brings us to our final thought for today's explainer. I want to leave you with this provocative question. Next time you're rushing through an app and you hastily tap accept, ask yourself, who is really making the choice? Are you deciding, or is the dark pattern deciding for you? Keep your eyes open, protect your attention, and reclaim your digital autonomy.